Hi guys, we are back with our kind of follow-up on our teaching that we've been going through in the subject of bullying. And Melissa and I have decided through prayer to talk about two people that went through some bullying in the Bible and how the Lord handled that and how they handled that. So the first one that we're going to talk about is Daniel. And if you're not familiar with Daniel, he was a follower of God, and he was very, continually served the Lord. That's kind of what the text says about him over and over. And he was in a position where he was put over a province, kind of in a leadership role, with a couple of other people that were over different provinces. And he became a favorite. He became a favorite of the king. And the other people that were put in positions of power, kind of on the same level as Daniel, became very jealous that he was the favorite. And so they devised a plan. They made it basically illegal for him to worship God. And because of that, the king was forced, when Daniel was found to be worshiping the Lord, he was forced to enforce the rule that had been devised against him. And this is when we see him thrown into the lion's den. And so many of us know the story about how God miraculously came in and showed up for Daniel. But I'll start here in Daniel 6:16. And it just says, "Then the king commanded, and Daniel was brought and cast into the den of lions. The king declared to Daniel, 'May your God, whom you serve continually, deliver you.' And a stone was brought and laid on the mouth of the den. And the king sealed it with his own signet and with the signet of his lords, that nothing might be changed concerning Daniel. Then the king went to his palace and spent the night fasting. No diversions were brought to him, and sleep fled from him." So he was in anguish about what he had to do to his friend. Then at daybreak, the king arose and went in haste to the den of lions. As he came near to the den where Daniel was, he cried out in a tone of anguish. The king declared to Daniel, "O Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God whom you serve continually been able to deliver you from the lions?" Then Daniel said to the king, "O king, live forever. My God sent his angel and shut the lions' mouths, and they have not harmed me, because I was found blameless before him and also before you. O king, I have done no harm."
Wow.
So, a situation where these bullies meant to destroy Daniel, the Lord stepped in and protected him in a magnificent and miraculous way. So beautiful.
A way to show his glory and his power and his might and his authority over all things.
Yes.
All things.
Yes.
What the enemy meant to destroy, God had other plans for.
Yeah, and only this circumstance only served to strengthen Daniel's faith, if anything, and show what the living God was able to do in front of the king also.
Beautiful.
And everyone who was there to witness it.
Yeah, incredible.
So,
I love that. I love that story. Just how, again, God has a plan in it all, and whatever authority that the enemy tries to pretend that he has, God has the final say in all of it. I'm going to go, this is actually one of my favorite stories, to Joseph, and it's in Genesis 37. I'm just going to kind of set up basically how Joseph ended up where he was at, but how God redeemed him as well. So in 37, it talks about how Joseph had dreams, and he knew they were dreams of the Lord, and he was the baby brother, and he was also the favorite brother of Jacob, and so he probably got a little too big for his britches and sharing his dreams with the brothers, and it also caused a lot of jealousy and division in the brothers. And so that takes you to where the brothers have decided that they're actually going to kill him. They were on a mission for their dad, and they decided that they threw him in a well and they were going to leave him there to die. That was the plan. And so actually his brother Reuben heard of their scheme, and it goes into chapter 37, Genesis chapter 37, verse 21, it says, "But when Reuben heard of their scheme, he came to Joseph's rescue. 'Let's not kill him,' he said. 'Why should we shed any blood? Let's just throw him into this empty cistern here in the wilderness, and then he'll die without laying a hand on him.' But Reuben was secretly planning to rescue Joseph and return him to his father."
Yeah.
So they planned to kill him, and Reuben decided, like, hey, well, I'm going to act like I'm all in, but I'm going to protect him in the end. So when Joseph arrived, his brothers ripped off the beautiful robe that he was wearing, and then they grabbed him and threw him into the cistern. Now the cistern was empty, so there was no water in it. Then, just as they were sitting down to eat, they looked up and saw a caravan of camels in the distance coming toward them. It was a group of Ishmaelites traders taking a load of gum, balm, and aromatic resin from Gilead down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, "What will we gain by killing our brother? We'd have to cover up a crime. So instead of hurting him, let's sell him to those Ishmaelite traders. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood." And his brothers agreed. So I want to pause there for a minute. So their plans to destroy, literally kill their brothers, changed. And I believe 100% this was already the beginning of the work of the Lord of protecting Joseph, even though he's getting ready to be sold into slavery. So to summarize, Joseph is sold into slavery, and he is taken to Potiphar's house, and he gains so much favor there that he kind of becomes one of the lead servants of Potiphar, until again the wicked ways of the world. Potiphar's wife tries to seduce Joseph because he's a good-looking kid, and then she fails at her attempts, and so instead she falsely accuses him of trying to take advantage of her. So in this, now Joseph is thrown into prison. And so in these places, again, like, it's not right. These things are happening to Joseph, but God is faithful and good, and he has good plans for Joseph as well. And it goes back to Romans 8:28. He works all things together for the good of those that love him according to his purpose. And so we see this happening over and over and over in Joseph's life. So then he's thrown into prison, but then he also gets favor in prison with the prison guards. And so then he also gets even more favor because the gift that God gave him in the dreams, Joseph used to glorify and honor the Lord. And so he accurately shared what 2 dreams meant for servants that were under Pharaoh. And then they were one who survived, went back to Pharaoh's servant, like under Pharaoh's being servant, under Pharaoh's servanthood. There we go. The words are important. And he remembered Joseph, and so then he took it to Pharaoh. I think it was the baker.
No,
it was the cupbearer. There we go. The baker ended up dying.
Yep.
The cupbearer remembered Joseph and shared that with Pharaoh, and in that, Joseph was released from prison and became a servant of Pharaoh, and then even more so became, because of the gift that God gave him in dreams, he became one of Pharaoh's dream interpreters, and then he gained even more favor. And so in that, he ends up becoming the second highest leader in Egypt, and he actually saved the lives of many because of the gift that God had given him in interpreting dreams, that he was able to make storehouses so the famine would help feed many lives. God is so good and so faithful, even in the scheme of man, even in the evilness of man, even in the brutality and the things that happened against Joseph, the plans and the jealousy that happened with Daniel. God used it all for the good of both of them, and he is using all the things that are happening in your life right now for your good. He is good and he is faithful.
Yes.
And if you're still in the midst of that battle, I just want to encourage you. We want to encourage you. Reach out to him. Cling to him. He is with you. He was with Daniel in the lion's den. He was with Joseph in the prison, in the slavery, and all the things. And he has plans for you. And they are a hope and a future. So cry out to him, and he is with you. And if you're still in it, it's not finished yet.
No.
It's not finished yet.
No.
He's not done. So
yeah, and I was just going to add that, you know, Daniel's story was pretty quick, and his deliverance was pretty quick.
Yes.
In Joseph's case, it was years.
Yes.
I mean, years in prison, years of being a servant, and I feel like sometimes we get in those places and we're just like, Lord, why?
Yeah.
Why must I keep enduring this? And you know, He goes before us, and He's in every single detail. And even when things don't make sense, and even when it seems like we've been forsaken, we haven't, and we can still have that trust. Like we said in the last video, that He is the ultimate promise keeper, and that He does go before us in every single situation.
And He has a plan, and we can
He
trust
works everything for our good. Literally everything, even the bad things that happen.
And we can trust in His plans. We can. So, I just hope that this meets you where you're at. It gives you encouragement. If you need anything, if you need prayer, we are here for you. We love you. We cover you guys in prayer. We have great resources if you need that as well. But just know that you're not alone. He was with Joseph. He was with Daniel. He was with so many others. As we were kind of putting things together, I was like, there's so many.
There are.
Which do we pick?
Yes.
But this is where the Lord led us. And I love, like you said, like His was kind of fast and simple, and that some seasons of life you're like, oh, that was quick, thank you, God. And there's others where it just continues. Oh, that I did have a thought really quick. The other beautiful redeeming moment was that God actually brought back Joseph's family to Him.
Yes.
And He restored them. And He redeemed them. That's part of why it's one of my favorite stories. God is in the work of restoring, and He is in the work of redeeming.
Yes.
So don't lose hope, friends. We're here for you. Jesus is with you, and He wants you to cry out to Him in it all. There's nothing too big for Jesus. God bless you. We love you.